Dude, this is hitting me, man. Seeing this animated actually hits so hard, dude. Like, oh, dude. Welcome back, ReZero, man. Welcome back, dude. Only ReZero can just give me an episode and make me just start crying. Just watching an episode, watching this scene with Garfield crying, and basically having joy that he finally got to see and meet his mother again. It is just so incredible how good ReZero is. It is something so special. It is one of those series that even to this day, it's been 10 years. It's been over 10 years since Season 1, Episode 1 of ReZero graced us with its presence and started to air. I remember the day that when ReZero first initiated itself as an anime, there was people that obviously were aware of it. For instance, they knew about ReZero prior to that, they read the novels and stuff, but it was at the time period still a very relatively unknown series. It was a series that honestly was small. It had a very small niche community, not many people really knew about it, and to see just how far it's come in the last decade, and the amount of quality that is still poured into not just the seasons of the anime, but the quality of the voice acting, to just how much love and passion is poured into this project, is honestly just something that you do not see. You do not see this level of quality poured into an anime, and I feel like I need to, like, kind of spell this out, but a lot of people, when they look at anime and they think of passion and quality, they look at JJK, they look at Chainsaw Man and stuff like that, and I'm not putting down that work by any means. It's very beautiful work, and there's definitely a lot of passion poured into those projects, but there is a lot more to anime than just a pretty picture, a pretty action sequence. There's so much more that goes on under the hood to really create and craft something that just stands out and can hit you on an emotional level. And ReZero is one of those series, one of the very few series, even to this very day, that still is able to hit me with on an emotional level, even if I know what is coming and I've already read the source material. I'm not trying to act like I don't know what happens and stuff. Don't worry, no spoilers for anime onlys, but I am a novel reader. I've read the novel, I've read the web novel, I'm up to date. The only thing I haven't actually read, correction, is Arc 10 that is now currently coming out. I have not started Arc 10 yet, but I am pretty much up to date with ReZero content, and despite knowing everything, the twists, the turns, what will happen, the anime is still able to hit me so hard. Like, I did not expect me seeing this scene with Garfield, and him basically just being able to talk with his mom again, that it would make me just start tearing up and crying, and I did. Like, I was crying watching this sequence. Like, it's making me sad just looking at this again, because there's just so much emotion in this scene, not just from the voice acting, but the build-up of the story just for this moment. And I really want to talk about this before I get into anything else, because it honestly is so impactful, because Garfield is like this side character that you've been seeing his journey since Season 2. For those that don't remember it, because it's been a long time, it's been like 4 or 5 years, maybe, it's been a while, okay? Garfield was someone that was very antisocial. He was someone that felt like he was the big fish, the big tiger on the block, so to speak. Nobody was stronger than him. When you look at Sanctuary, the entirety of the arc 4 in Season 2, he was the strongest in that area pretty much, and it took the collective might of everybody there pretty much to kind of overthrow Garfield and get Garfield on their side. And he was someone that was living in a very small pond as a very big fish, and he didn't really see the outside world. He was afraid of the outside world, because the outside world outside of Sanctuary took his mother away from him. He believed that he was responsible, or he blamed himself for why his mother went off and left and all that, and he held this trauma, this PTSD, for so many years, which is what caused Subaru to go through so much hell in Season 2, Arc 4 of ReZero. So, seeing his journey from someone that was very, like, I guess you could say weak of mind, and someone that was not able to properly express themselves and journey out to experience the world, to what he is now, being able to go out in the world by himself. Subaru's not there, Oto's not there, his brothers are not there, so to speak. He's by himself, and he has to deal with this on his own, and the fact that he was able to overcome this, like, he broke down crying, obviously, but he cried, and then he straight up, he got to rekindle a certain bond with his mother, and then and he was able to walk away with a smile on his face showcases tremendous character growth. And there's so many people that will be quick, depending on who watches the scene, will say that it's a bad scene. There will be people that will say that because Garfield showed emotion, that Garfield cried, that he actually showcased weakness in comparison to what you would expect from his character. For instance, someone that, is very brazen, strong, bulky, and always talking smack. When you see someone like him break down, there is definitely a lot of people that'll say it's cringy or bad, but I feel like those moments really add so much to his character, because from the very beginning, he has been a crybaby. He has been, a very weak of mind, but you can see that he has grown, not just in the physical sense, but in the mental sense. His mental facilities are much more higher than they were in the events of Season 2 of ReZero, and him being able to have a conversation with his mom, and be able to accept that his mom doesn't know that it's really him, or she doesn't even remember him, but he's able to live with that and move forward, is simply beautiful. It is a really good exchange of words and sequences that dude, as you can see, I'm on a tangent. ReZero is just truly good. Like, this isn't even the main meat of this episode. Like, this is just a side plot for Season 4, honestly. Like, this is a very minor side plot that's not really that important in the grand scheme of things of Season 4, okay? It will be important later on, but right now, it's not. And so, it's crazy just how much emotion a scene and how much effort was put into this for a scene that is not really going to be paid off for a lot longer. Well, technically there was emotional payoff. This is an emotional payoff for the events of Season 3 and Season 2, but you know what I mean. There's more to come. Anyways, what I'm trying to say here is that spectacular scene, and it's incredible that we got this episode, by the way, with no ending and opening song. Now, for those that are new here, and, don't really know this, it is very rare for an anime to disregard using its opening and ending song. It is not something that's common, because obviously there's licensing agreements with the song, to be able to show it, to be able to probably get the cells of the soundtrack out there and all that. There is definitely stuff under the hood. But the fact that ReZero, time and time again, despite being 4 seasons deep, still forgoes its opening and ending songs to be able to extend the runtime, to give as much footage and a much story progression as it possibly could fit in with its runtime, is simply incredible. And it showcases the links that, despite all these years, being 10 years since episode 1 of ReZero came out, that it is still getting that same type of love that it always got a long time ago, to where they are trying their very best to cram as much of the story as they can in an episode without trying to cut as much as possible. Now, is there things cut? Yes. It's not a perfect thing. Like, there's internal monologues and stuff that are removed, and if you are interested in ReZero, by all means, you should read it. It's fantastic. Still to this day, one of the best novel series I have ever read. The only thing I can kind of put on a side-by-side with it is Mushoku Tensei. But it's still apples and oranges to a degree, because Mushoku Tensei's completed story, while ReZero is still going on. There's still a lot more content of ReZero to cover, so it's kind of it's not a good comparison, because one story's complete and not. But anyways, let's get back into the point. This is the first episode of ReZero Season 4, and I am just so happy to finally see my favorite arc finally adapted. Like, guys, this is the equivalent of this arc, just to be blunt here. I don't want to overhype it, because I know that's a bad thing, but to me, my own personal emotions, just pushing aside the reviewer, pushing aside, trying to analyze this episode and ReZero and stuff, but as someone that loves this material, loves ReZero a lot, Arc 6 that we're getting into now is by far the pinnacle of ReZero to date. Like, in terms of all the themes, character progression, characterization, the psychological action, just use of the power system, all these different things, mystery, there is a lot here that everything that you've seen from every single arc up to this point is incorporated into Arc 6, and it is such an amazing read that when I was reading this, I couldn't put down my tablet, when I was reading it, because I had to keep reading chapter after chapter after chapter until finally I caught up. And when I caught up, I was upset, because that's when Arc 7 began, and if you know, you know. But what I will say is that this is such a good start. Now, we do need to talk about some elephants in the room. First off, Crunchyroll did the absolute usual, and they screwed over some translations. So, there is a moment here, I don't know the exact frame, forgive me, but it's at the beginning of the episode, but they're talking about kind of, like, who took down, like, Satla, you know, the Witch of Envy, and they start mentioning a bunch of different names, and there's someone that pops up called Dragon Lord, and this is completely wrong. Like, that's completely wrong. Like, that is, I don't even know what the hell Crunchyroll was translating. They're probably using AI, let's be honest. But it wasn't Dragon Lord, it's Divine Dragon. For those that need a little bit of a rundown, a little bit of the history of the ReZero world, especially the country that they're currently in within this world, they worship basically the Divine Dragon. The Divine Dragon is like this very sacred beast, basically, in this country. Very, very well respected. And so, basically, the fact that they messed up such a iconic or key, like, world-building material and called the individual Dragon Lord instead of Divine Dragon is wild to me. Now, I know, it might seem like I'm over-exaggerating, but stuff like this does add up. It is a domino effect. When you continue to have mistakes like this and you mess up certain names or titles, eventually it will start to confuse the audience, because ReZero is 4 seasons deep now, and so this is no longer the beginning of the series where things can easily be corrected. If you're having mismatches of names and improper translations here, and then you fix it later on or whatever, it's going to confuse people. It's going to make people not really understand what's going on, and this is just straight up on Crunchyroll's end. This is just translation issues, not even ReZero's fault. It's just typical Crunchyroll, which goes back into why they probably wanted Musa Asian not to be able to release their episode of ReZero on their YouTube channel, because they would have been embarrassed today, most likely. But, let's get into the core content of what this episode actually did. I want to analyze it and really go step by step on kind of what this episode is building up towards. So first off, the beginning of this episode is kind of like a meeting. Kind of talking about the aftermath of the fight against the Sin Archbishops, greed, wrath, lust. They're all talking about the damage and what they do next. What can they do to be able to rebuild and get back what they lost? There was a lot of people that were morphed by lust and basically changed into abominations, and they're trying to figure out if there's answers to get them back. You have people that have lost their memories, either forgotten by the world or they've forgotten themselves, and they want to be able to figure that out, you know, how they can get their names and memories back from gluttony. There is a lot of discussion here, basically the damage that these Sin Archbishops have done to a lot of the cast members and people that are, you know, like characters that are supporting cast members. You can just see a lot of people that have been endlessly affected by the actions of the Sin Archbishops. And the beginning is more or less their plan. Okay, what can they do to find answers? And their objective is basically to go to a sage, to go learn about, you know, maybe if the sage has any information on gluttony, has any information on lust, and be able to figure out kind of how to get memories back, change people back, and stuff like that. That is the mission objective, and basically it's an area that even Reinhardt himself talked about he wasn't even able to explore because he couldn't get close to the tower at all to be able to explore it. So this is unknown territory. It is, in essence, an adventure. It's something that the world hasn't really got to see in a very long time, and there could be hidden, sealed up dangers that, you know, are waiting and lurking there that nobody knows what is there. And so you can see the danger, but at the same time, in the core essence of storytelling, this is an adventure, and it really feels fun, because it's like nobody knows what to expect. All they know is that there is apparently a sill for, you know, the Witch of Envy there. And then you also have, like, you know, the tower and the sage. That's basically it. And it's in the desert. That's all the information that we were given in this episode, and that's about it. And so, it is literally Uncharted, because when you hear stuff like, okay, Uncharted territory, filled with maw beast, you have a sage that knows a lot, then the sealing of the Witch of Envy itself there, you're like, okay, this is probably gonna get crazy, because, anytime Satala, Witch of Envy, is involved in a situation, things get pretty bad. I mean, let's look at what happened in Season 2, when she was able to kind of take control and use Amelia's body to be able to break out a Subaru and take down all of Sanctuary. I mean, it's very obvious just the amount of damage that she can cause. So, will the seal be broken? makes you wonder what's going to happen. I mean, yeah. Now, what's really interesting about this episode, and I think a lot of people are going to point out, Subaru did not die. Like, that's a crazy one. Like, this is the longest, like, record within the story of Re:Zero at this point for the anime, where Subaru has not died and used Return by Death. Like, I think the last time he died was literally in the beginning of, the middle half, actually, yeah. The middle half of Season 3. Yeah, I think so. Correct me if I'm wrong there, but, like, he hasn't died for a while. It's been many episodes, and it's like, okay, there's been a lot of time since then. Something bad is eventually going to happen. You can only go so long, Subaru, until you're forced to use that Return by Death, and you're put into that endless cycle of figuring out a way out of the hole that you're currently in. And so, will that be forced upon him? That is the question. So, with all this happening, their main objective is to regroup and go to the mansion, meet Rosewall, and basically figure out, like, who they want to bring with them. And in this case, we get to see a lot of the party members talking to each other, like, for instance, Julius, he's hitching along for the ride with Subaru to be able to see if he can get back his memories, and you can see that he's very distraught. Throughout this episode, he puts up this facade, this mask that he is very strong, he has this armor on, he is not someone that is trying to show weakness regardless of what he has lost. But Subaru is able to see straight through him. And I feel like this is very important storytelling and character development between these two characters, because Subaru knows Julius quite a bit, actually. And they hate each other, or in this case, Subaru hates Julius, but he also kind of views him as a friend, or a frenemy, whatever you want to view him as. The point is that Subaru, he realizes that Julius is down in the dumps. He's not acting like his typical self. He's just very distant, you know, he's quiet, and people around don't notice this because everybody has forgotten. Everybody has forgotten who Julius is. The only person that remembers him is Subaru, and Subaru could easily lie, make Julius look like an absolute asshole, but he doesn't do that. And I feel like this also shows growth on Subaru's character from the events of Season 1, and I feel like this is something that was pointed out actually in this episode when Julius and Subaru were talking with each other about kind of like if they can remember him. Subaru brings up their match, the sparring match that they had in the arena, where Subaru got embarrassed in front of the entire kingdom and the knights and all that in Season 1. It was a big turning point for his character. We all know this is kind of what really caused Subaru to change as an individual that led him to where he's at right now within the story. Julius is kind of like the trigger for all of that. And the fact that nobody remembers that doesn't really sit right with Subaru, because, yeah, the world has forgotten about his main embarrassment, something that embarrassed him, and he holds as a grudge against Julius, but he doesn't like the fact that it's also gone, because it showcases how much he has changed from then to where he's at right now, and it's really sad that nobody remembers that. The reality of the world is just long forgotten that, and it's, like I said, it's depressing. Now, speaking of characters and personalities and interactions, this one is really interesting. Anastasia, or in this case, Echidna, or Fox Echidna, is revealed. Now, here's the thing. I'm not going to dive too deep into this one because obviously spoiler territory, but with the details that is given over in this sequence, it is revealed that Fox Echidna isn't actually our Echidna from Season 2. This is someone completely different. This is an artificial spirit, and as we know, Echidna is the one that created Byakko, so we know for a fact that it's not really far-fetched, judging by the experiments and what Echidna did in the past, that she didn't create someone that was kind of a copy of herself. So in this case, seeing like a Fox Echidna kind of not knowing anything, not having any memories, it's not out of the realm of, like, odd. It's not. It makes perfect sense, which you can kind of see why Subaru is able to accept it so well, because it is definitely something that she would do as a witch, as an individual that plays with people's lives and experiments to figure out different answers and different paths that someone can take. And in this case, that is what is happening here. And you can see that this Fox Echidna that we're encountering in this episode is vastly different from what you would expect from someone that is rocking that name, because they have clear emotion that they're able to understand another individual, and in this case, she loves Anastasia. She really cares for her, she loves her, doesn't want her to come to any harm, and right now she's trying to protect her body and figure out how she can allow Anastasia to come back in control of her body. It shows this, this core difference that Echidna did not have. And this is why you can see Subaru easily is able to accept this, because of just that big difference. It's honestly interesting, and it makes you wonder what's really going to happen here, and how is Julius going to feel about this reveal. Like, if he finds out that Anastasia isn't actually his Anastasia, because, as a reminder, he serves Anastasia. So, he didn't just lose, like, his status as a knight, everybody's forgotten him, but he straight up now, he has someone he serves that's not even the person he serves. Like, someone that is gone, and this artificial spirit is currently using her body like a puppet. And you know he's not gonna like that. He is gonna just... He might break down mentally. Like, that is not good for Julius whatsoever. And I feel like I'm laying it out that there's a lot of development taking place for his character. That is definitely what this episode is presenting. And, yeah, I feel like that's very obvious, because we've shifted from Garfield now to Julius as a character, and that's kind of like going to be our supporting cast member that's really going to get a lot of progression. Now, moving away from this segment, we need to talk about the other individual, which is Meili. So, this one is interesting for a lot of reasons. For one, when I read this in the novel, I was under the impression that the entire jail cell here was going to be nothing but stuffed animals, pretty rugs, everything like that. Because the light novel and the web novel, at the very least, laid it on thick that it did not look like a prison cell. Like, the entire cell just looked like a, you know, like a room for girls that love plushies and stuff. And when I take a look at this image, it is the exact opposite. It looks like a jail cell, with a few stuffed animals and a rug in the center, but it's legit, it looks like a jail cell. It looks very barren and like, yikes, like, who would want to stay here? But, regardless of the discrepancies between the novels and this, I do think, though, it showcases what's going on with her as a character. There's something building up. For one, we haven't really seen her since the events of Season 2. With everything that happened with Elsa and how she was taken down, how Garfield took her down. He got lucky, but he took her down. But you can see that Meili is afraid. She's afraid of venturing out in the world and basically facing everything out there, because she feels like this supposed mysterious figure, Mom, is going to come after her. Now, we don't really know who that is, obviously. Now, I kind of do. I'm not going to, you know, I'm not going to say anything. But obviously, she's afraid. And because of this information, she'd rather spend her time in a jail cell with her little plushies than go out. But it's clear that she is willing to get out and about and try to do something now. And it makes you wonder, what is the full intentions? Is she being serious? Is there something else going on? Is she going to try to escape? Can you really trust her? Because this is an individual that has harmed a lot of people. We have seen the amount of harm that she has caused within the different timelines. Now, to be fair, we have seen other characters that Subaru is currently friends with do the exact same thing. Roswell, very good example. So, I mean, she could change, but it makes you wonder, what is she doing? Why is she so happy to be able to come with Subaru? So, yeah, I mean, episode overall is pretty much just that, besides, obviously, the whole Rim stuff, and, we get a little bit more of an update of Subaru just talking to her and all that, and, you know, just hoping that she awakens soon. So, it's not really anything brand new on this moment, but yeah, it's a very beautiful episode of ReZero. Hands down, I loved it. And I think that in general, still to this day, despite it being 10 years, it is one of the best anime I'm watching and have watched. It's crazy how it has stood the test of time. It can drag out emotion from me. It can make me really just enjoy anime. Like, this is why I love anime. ReZero is a really good example of that. It doesn't need something as flashy as JJK or anything like that to just be hands down a masterpiece. I will leave it at that, though. If you enjoy my content and you would like more videos like this, do leave a comment down below and leave a like on the video. I love you guys. Chibi out.